Hello Mytho oddities, welcome to a new video. Now, when you think of obscure Mortal Kombat characters, who do you think of? Probably someone like Dairu or Kai, maybe Hotaru, but those characters, you were still able to name them, and they've still been in at least 2 Mortal Kombat games. These characters, however, they're on a completely different level of obscurity. They have never been playable in a single Mortal Kombat game before. Yeah, that's right, that's how obscure we're going. For characters like Kai and Dairu, even if you're just a casual Mortal Kombat fan, you can still name them without knowing their entire lore and backstory. But for these characters, unless you're a very hardcore Mortal Kombat fan, aka me, then you probably have no idea who these guys are, and you're probably meeting all of these people for the first time in this video. But just because these characters are so obscure that I'm pretty sure even people in NetherRealm Studios don't know who they are, does not mean that they shouldn't be given the chance to come back in a future Mortal Kombat title. Because I'm of the opinion that every single Mortal Kombat character, regardless of if their execution was good or bad, or even if their baseline concept is good or bad, deserves a second chance in a future Mortal Kombat game. And that's how I feel about the characters on this list. So without further ado, let's get into the forgotten Mortal Kombat characters that should come back. First of all, let's get out of the way probably the most popular character on this list, or characters since there's 2 of them, Kia and Giutaka. These characters, along with Serena, worked for Quan Chi in Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero and Mortal Kombat Armageddon's Conquest mode. These characters are demons, but along with characters like Serena and Astra, they keep that form of themselves hidden under a more human-looking disguise. Now, why should these characters come back? Especially since they're very similar to Serena, so, like, what's the point of having 3 different characters that are all basically the same? Well, 3 things. First of all, they don't have to be playable, they can just be NPCs in the story mode. Second of all, they can make them more unique from Serena by combining the 2 characters into one character slot, kinda like Noob and Smoke from Deception. And finally, they have a lot of story potential. For example, maybe when Serena escapes Quan Chi, he becomes a lot more strict towards Kia and Giutaka. And he just makes working for him so much worse and makes it a living hell. Literally. Maybe this makes Kia and Giutaka resent Serena for leaving them with Quan Chi. And so when Quan Chi has Kia and Giutaka hunt down Serena, it feels a lot more personal. And so yeah, I think Kia and Giutaka returning to the Mortal Kombat storyline has a lot of potential, so hopefully one of the next Mortal Kombat games can feature them in it. The next obscure characters we'll be talking about are also from Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, and they are the Elemental Gods. Like the name suggests, these characters were the gods of the elements. Now, Fujin and probably Raiden were technically a part of this group, but they actually became popular characters, while the rest of them kind of just like got left behind. So in Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, Bihan, while looking for Shinnok's amulet, would defeat and, I think, kill the Elemental Gods. I feel that should have much bigger ramifications to the Mortal Kombat universe than it did, but whatever. I think it would be pretty cool if maybe Quan Chi, after Bihan killed these gods, maybe Quan Chi tried to steal their souls, but obviously they're gods, so it's going to be a little harder than that, but by that point, Shinnok was released, so maybe Shinnok helped Quan Chi raise these gods from the dead and become their servants. So now there's just these 3 gods that are just like kind of mindless brutes working for the villains. I think that would be really scary and have a lot of tension, and in a remake of Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, maybe they can be like the sub-bosses to Shinnok and Quan Chi. So they'd be like the sub-boss. But there's 3 of them. So one of them would have to be the sub-boss, another one would have to be the sub-boss, and then another one would have to be the sub-boss. But yeah, I think they'd be pretty cool, and they'd make for better jobbers than characters like Baraka and Reptile and same old characters over and over again. The next character we'll be talking about is Hydro. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the only character on the list that has just straight up never been in an official Mortal Kombat game. Hydro appeared as a human in one of the Mortal Kombat Malibu comics. I'm pretty sure he was killed by Scorpion or something. And then he appeared again in an episode of Mortal Kombat Legacy as a cyborg. And in that, he was killed by Cyrax as well as Red Cyrax. Now, Hydro, when he's actually canon to the story, is a part of the Lin Kuei, and I'm pretty sure his power is water bending. Which obviously causes conflict in the Lin Kuei cyberization because water, electronics, don't mix. So he just becomes this like malfunctioning robot, and it's super funny and it's super cool, and I really want him to appear in a Mortal Kombat game strictly for gameplay reasons because I think he'd be a great joke character. I don't really know what you can do with Hydro for the story. We've had so many Lin Kuei members that it's kind of been done to death, and there's not really anything new you can do with a Lin Kuei character, but he'd be cool for gameplay reasons and as a joke character. So he should be included in a Mortal Kombat game. The next character we'll be talking about is No Face. Now this guy looks like a cross between Pyro from TF2 and Jason Voorhees, so already off to a great start with his design. But the problem with No Face is the fact that he was introduced in Mortal Kombat Special Forces, aka the worst piece of Mortal Kombat anything ever made. So he was kinda rightfully forgotten about. But I still think No Face has a lot of potential, specifically for gameplay, because he has that flamethrower as his main weapon. Now, I know Sector has his arm flamethrower, but that's just one move on one character. But No Face has that main weapon being his flamethrower, so who knows what he could do with that. Maybe he can set fire to certain parts of the ground, and when you walk into it, you get burnt. Now for story, he is a member of the Black Dragon, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to introduce some more uniqueness within that clan. Because of all the Black Dragon members that have been playable across the games, there has only been 3 that have been completely original and unique, and that's Kano, Cabal, and Tremor. That's the only 3. Other than that, we've got Kira, just Sonya fused with Kano, Cobra, Ken from Street Fighter, and Jarek, literally just Kano. In fact, I think No Face has the perfect role to play in the Mortal Kombat storyline. He is the one that burns Cabal. Maybe when Cabal leaves the Black Dragon, Kano sends out No Face to go hunt him down because he betrayed the clan, and so No Face burns him alive. But then, obviously, Cabal comes back because he has to be a character, and he has to have the mask and the swords, and you get what I mean. That is literally the perfect opportunity. They need to bring No Face back. Speaking of Black Dragon characters from Special Forces that were completely forgotten about, we have Tasia. Now this character isn't as obscure or forgotten as No Face was because she did eventually appear in the Mortal Kombat X comics along with Jarek, but she's still pretty obscure. And she's still never had a game appearance since Mortal Kombat Special Forces. Now I think Tasia for gameplay wouldn't be too interesting. She has like swords and she can teleport. Not too unique, but for story, I think she has some more potential. I was thinking of her as the most professional member of the Black Dragon. She's not really a part of the Black Dragon for all the crazy weapons dealing and murder and stuff like that. She's only really there for the money, so she can go and start off her own clan or something, which can eventually happen within the storyline. I don't know, we have the Black Dragon, the Red Dragon, why not add another one? Tasia is pink, so why not the Pink Dragon? We need a lot more diverse characters within the Black Dragon because, like I said, basically the same people over and over again, and I think Tasia, along with No Face, would make for some great additions to the clan. The next character on this list is probably the one we know the least about because they're literally in the background of a stage, and that's Hornbuckle. Who probably needs a name change because that name is kind of stupid. Now Hornbuckle was in the background of the Pit 2 stage within Mortal Kombat 2, and he was fighting who would soon to become Blaze. Now as you can see, Hornbuckle was just a green reskin of Liu Kang, so I think we should develop that into a story a little bit. Since Liu Kang is the champion of Mortal Kombat, maybe Hornbuckle was a past defender of Earthrealm and a past contestant within Mortal Kombat fighting for Earthrealm's side, but he betrayed Earthrealm for Outworld. Maybe he saw all the crazy powers and abilities that the people of Outworld had and was like, I want some of that, not the boring Earth people stuff, so he switched sides. And maybe since he betrayed Earthrealm, maybe Shang Tsung or Shao Kahn or something grants him eternal life so he can live on into the present Mortal Kombat day and fight the characters we all know and love, like Liu Kang, Kung Lao, whatever. Maybe we even get an Anakin Skywalker style story of him being redeemed back to Earthrealm. I don't know, just my ideas for how Hornbuckle can return to Mortal Kombat. Still needs a name change, that is such a stupid name. The next character on the list is Rutu. This guy was featured in the Mortal Kombat 9 Challenge Tower. He was kind of like this ancestral enemy to Nightwolf. And I think Nightwolf is one of those characters that just doesn't really have much to do, so I think giving him his own enemy character should be really good for his character. Now for gameplay, I don't really have much for Rutu. Just make up some cool ancestral power. But for story, I was thinking that he was an enemy of the first Nightwolf. And when the Nightwolf defeated him, he was like, okay, I'm going to curse your lineage now. And so every single time the mantle is passed to a new Nightwolf, that one has to deal with Rutu. So he's basically just this cursed being that's sole existence is to kill all of the Nightwolves. So yeah, I think Rutu would be a pretty cool character in his own right, but he would also be really good for Nightwolf's character development. And the final character that we'll be talking about in this video is Monster, who desperately needs a name change. Just like Hornbuckle, Monster is such a stupid name. Monster was basically just this NPC character that you fought in Deception's Conquest mode. Like Rutu, I don't really have much when it comes to gameplay for Monster. I was thinking about those golden dragons from the end of Mortal Kombat 9 that killed Shao Kahn, that were supposed to be kind of like a representation of the Elder Gods. Maybe he could use those in some way, like kind of how Batman used the bats in Injustice and Injustice 2, I think. Like he would summon them and then they would shoot out at people. Maybe Monster could summon the golden dragons and then they could shoot out at people. Maybe make it a little bit different. Maybe they start like biting at them or something. And for story, I was thinking just confirm the fact that Monster is the champion of the Elder Gods, not just like supposedly like how it was in Deception. But because it's a well-known fact that the Elder Gods are absolute hacks, it turns out that being a champion of the Elder Gods is not too pleasant. Instead of it being protecting the realms and keeping balance and, I don't know, fighting people, something fun, instead your whole life is devoted to just guarding the Kamidogu. You literally do nothing else. You just like sit there and guard them. And if someone tries to come get them and do something weird with them, then you fight them, and that's it. So when Shujinko, or if you're in the Mortal Kombat Legends universe, Scorpion comes to collect the Kamidogu, Monster will be there being like, hey, what are you doing? Stop that. And you know, that'll create character conflicts, you know, essential stuff for a storyline. And that's pretty much all the obscure characters that I wanted to talk about in today's video. Now, these are not the only obscure characters in Mortal Kombat. There's a lot more, especially if you take into account stuff like Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, or Mortal Kombat Conquest, or the Mortal Kombat Malibu comics, or all of that extra stuff. If you take those into account, there's a lot of obscure Mortal Kombat characters. So obviously I can't just talk about them all in one video. So make sure to like the video and comment down below some obscure Mortal Kombat characters that weren't on the list to show me that you guys want a part 2 to this video. Also make sure you've subscribed and turn on the notification bell. And with that being said, that's it for this video, my fellow oddities. I'll see you next time.